everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We're going to be talking about how S Corps handle their payroll and also how they handle their cash flows. I've gotten a lot of questions around this. I think when people switch from being a sole proprietor to an S Corp, they think that it's going to be a really easy process, and it's not too crazy, but there's definitely a lot of moving parts involved. And one of the pieces that gets people the most confused is how the money goes from you making it and it going into your business account, and then how do you get it into your personal account, factoring in both payroll, taxes, retirement contributions, and really getting all those moving pieces together and putting it into one simple plan for you. So the big trick here is going to be putting as much as you can through payroll. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I don't necessarily mean money, but just moving parts that you have within your cash flows through your payroll. And then hopefully that'll make things a little bit easier when it comes time to actually like sending yourself money and transferring money to yourself. So because this is so confusing to go through this process, I thought the easiest thing to do today would be to go through an example. So I'm going to go through an example of basically just starting with you making money all the way down to having it all distributed to you in your personal accounts. And let me know if you have any questions as we go through that. And as a bonus to just the group, I post these videos usually on YouTube, but as a bonus to just the group here, I'm also going to show you an example of one of my pay stubs for myself that basically highlights how I set it up. So it's just another version of seeing what this could look like for you. I do have my laptop here as well where I can draw on the screen. So let me pull that up and I'll get a whiteboard up and we'll start going through this example today. Okay, so it should be all pulled up now. So let's start from the top. All right, we're going to start with business income. I'm going to write that here at the top and probably try to follow along more with words than writing just because my handwriting's not the best on these things. So business income. And for this example, let's just assume that your business income is going to be, let's just do 20,000. Okay, so your business is bringing in $20,000. See if we can squeeze in a dollar sign here. $20,000 a year is what your business is bringing in. Okay, and so all this business income, where do you put it? Everyone knows this. All that business income's got to start in your business checking account. And I'm just going to call it business account. For the purposes of this, having a business checking and savings doesn't really matter for the example of the cash flow. You would have everything usually just goes in your business checking, and then you can just put some money into your savings if you want in a business savings account, and then have the two. I usually recommend that you have a few months of cash sitting in your business savings. So basically, if you had some slow months or you took some time off, then you can basically still follow through with this cash flow plan for a few months before you'd have to make any adjustments, and you can just move business savings into your business checking to make it happen. All right, so we have your business income, and that's going into your business account. All right, and then from there, we're gonna start with your salary. So you're gonna pay yourself a salary through payroll. And let's assume that your salary here is going to be $5,000 a month. So 5K a month salary. All right, so $5,000 is your gross income that you're going to pay yourself as an employee of your business, okay? Now, from there, we're going to actually have this money be split up before it gets to your personal account. So let me actually put salary right here. Okay, and I'm going to circle this as well so we can start to draw some arms off of this. Okay, so what do we actually have coming off of here? So number one is we have your taxes. So your taxes are going to be less typically than what you would actually have to pay in taxes. Because when you use a system like, say, like Gusto to do your payroll, it thinks that you're making $5,000 a month. It doesn't think that you're making 20,000, right? It only knows the number that you told it. So it's basically withholding taxes off of a salary of $5,000 a month. Now, what you can do, and this is something I've talked about in another webinar, is you can actually increase your withholding to basically make up the difference of what it should be withholding for you so that you don't even have to do quarterly taxes anymore because all of the money that you need to pay for taxes is all being withheld from your salary. So we have $5,000 a month salary, then we have your taxes. Now let's assume here that the taxes that you want withheld from this plan is going to be $2,000 a month. So you have $2,000 a month of taxes is going from that $5,000 salary. All right. Now, let's say that you set up a solo 401k, and for your solo 401k, you want to contribute to retirement $1,000 a month. So now this is another piece of the money being taken. So I'm just going to call it a solo K to make it easy here. And then we have another $1,000 a month is going towards this. All right, let me see if I can make that a little bit more clear. Okay, $1,000 a month is going toward that. All right, so now that we have the taxes being taken out and that factored in, the last place where this $5,000 goes to is going to be your personal account. Okay, so your personal account is going to basically walk away with the difference. So your personal account here is only going to make $2,000. All right, so you business paid yourself 5,000 here. 1,000 of that is going to the solo 401k. 2,000 of that is going to taxes, and then 2,000 of it is actually hitting your personal bank account. So you paid yourself 5,000, but you actually only walked away with two. Now, $2,000 is not enough, right? You need to pay yourself more on top of that. So how do we do that? Outside of the payroll system, now we get to do an owner's distribution. So an owner's distribution, it sounds more complicated than it really is. All it is going in and transferring money from your business account to your personal account. So let's say I want to pay myself in total $10,000 a month after taxes, right? That's what I want to live off of as my monthly budget. So then over here, I can also just set up monthly transfers. And we got owner distribution. Okay, and we'll set up this to be $8,000 a month. Okay, so now we have the owner's distribution, and then that's also going to come around into your personal account. So now in total, instead of 2,000 that you're getting a month, you're getting another 8K to get your grand total of $10,000 per month. All right. So you paid yourself $5,000 salary. We had it split up into these three places: solo 401k, taxes, and your personal account. Then to make up the difference, because that made your paycheck so tiny, you also did an owner's distribution of $8,000 a month. Now, if you're confused about why we did it this way, watch my other videos where I talk about why being an S Corp is a benefit. But to keep it very simple here, anything that you did here as an owner's distribution didn't have to pay self-employment taxes. Anything that you did here through a salary did have to pay self-employment taxes. So we try and keep that salary as low as possible, but you got to pay yourself a reasonable salary in the eyes of the IRS. All right. So the last thing that we're missing from this picture here is the contributions to the solo 401k for the employer. All right, so we got one more arm coming out here, and this is going to be employer. I'll just put ER solo 401k contribution. And let's say here you wanted to do another $1,000 a month. All right. So remember, with a solo 401k, you're contributing as both the employer and as the employee. You do both, right? So this is why sometimes it may feel like, oh, I want to pay myself a certain amount, and then there's all this money coming out of my accounts because there's actually a lot more going on here. And theoretically, we've got most of your financial planning for retirement and taxes accomplished just through what you see right here, right? You have $1,000 a month going to your solo 401k from the employee side, plus another 1,000 from the employer. So you're doing $2,000 a month towards your retirement plan in this example I have in front of me. Then you have the $5,000 salary that's being split up between that solo 401k, the taxes and the personal account, and the owner's distribution. So what does this actually cost you, right? If I want to look at all in total, what is this actually costing you? The total cost, we need to add $5,000 salary, then the owner's distribution. So now we're at 13 plus the employer's solo 401k is 1,000. So now we're at a total of 14,000 that this cost you to set up this whole plan. Now, there is one more piece. I did make this a little bit more simple. The only thing that you're also going to have to add here is that they do take out employer, like I'll just call it employer taxes. All right. So the $5,000 salary, the taxes, the 2,000 you see here, that's the taxes you have to pay as an employee of your business. But then you also had to pay employer taxes as well. And so that gets added on top of that. So maybe in my example, all in, you're talking around $15,000 a month going into this plan. And 10,000 of that, remember, you actually get to take home and spend on whatever the hell you want, right? So this isn't like sunk cost. This is $10,000 after taxes you get to spend. And to do that and have this whole plan set up was 14 or 15 grand. So I don't see any questions on here right now. So what I'm going to do now is switch over to talking about an example of a pay stub. So I'm going to pull up my pay stub here.